Fine. Ladies, gentlemen, girls and boys, hello and welcome to a really exciting topic which we brought to you today together with our friends from ThoughtSpot. The topic of today is dashboards are dead. And that's why I'm extremely privileged to have a guest today, Oliver Linder from ThoughtSpot. Oliver is a solution engineering manager. Oli, would you like to say hello and a little bit of intro, perhaps?
Of course. Hi, everybody. Greetings from Germany. It's a pleasure to be here with Paul. We know a couple of years, and currently I'm leading the pre-sales team at ThoughtSpot since 2.5 years. But actually, I'm in the BI space over 20 years. I started as a customer of IBM Cognos, moved to Cognos, got acquired by IBM. In 2014, I started my journey at Tableau. And in 2022, I left actually the dashboard era and thought that there must be something different and something else. And in 2023, I found ThoughtSpot as the new evolution of BI, and now I am here, and pleasure to show you what's around the corner.
Thank you, Oli, and obviously we're extremely thrilled to have you with us today. My name is Paul. I'm leading the sales operations here at ThoughtSpot. Previously, I've spent last 8 years working for Tableau in London, and I was on a mission to help people to see and understand data. The mission hasn't changed. We're on a mission which helps you to see and understand data. I'll explain how the landscape changed, though, and that's going to be the topic of our today's webinar. Thank you for sharing some interesting insights. Would you like to learn what your issues are? Here's a survey which was run previously with some of the EU webinars, and it's interesting to see that it's very similar in terms of pains to what you, ladies and gentlemen, are experiencing today. Oli, would you like to perhaps mention a couple of ideas which you've seen across the market?
Yes, of course, pleasure to do. So it's the first now webinar for the eastern area of Germany, not of Germany. And we had a couple of webinars already in the rest of Europe. And what we do in general, we do a summer kind of survey to get to know the audience. And I found one survey from a previous EU webinar quite interesting. So the question was, what is the biggest challenge you face in dealing with data analytics nowadays? And when we see here the results, it comes really that many companies are dealing with all the same challenges, right? So what stands out here is that the high effort of BI team due to BI backlogs is really standing out. That means business users in the departments that still have maybe access to dashboards, but the more data you get, the more questions, the more complex the question will be. The dashboards cannot answer every single question that might come up maybe when they see the data. So they reach out to the BI team. Can you ask me that answer that follow-up question for me? And they say, well, first of all, you have to queue yourself because you are not the only one. You have maybe some similar but not the same question like your colleagues, so you have to wait until you are in the queue and we can deal with your follow-up question. And that actually leads then to tons of dashboards, because maybe you don't want to expand the original one, or you are creating just for that ad hoc follow-up question just one, and then it ends up in 170,000 dashboard objects over maybe, let's say, 9 years. That is a real scenario of a big company from our side. And just 1% of these created dashboards are regularly used. On the other side, it's the performance. It's not only the performance of the BI team to deliver in-time insights, but it's also the performance of the increasing data source and data volumes. Vendors like Tableau, Power BI, Click, they love to extract the data, but then you leave out actually the detailed information that you maybe need to find the root cause, right? And it takes time to extract the data. And also because of this kind of, we call it madness, the endless loop of dashboard madness, because you are always following up with follow-up question with the BI team, the end user satisfaction is really decreasing. So we need to explode or to escape this kind of circle of dashboard madness. And I think ThoughtSpot has here a good answer to this, so we can actually tackle these biggest challenges that companies currently have.
Brilliant, thank you. Well, during the Ollie's introduction, he mentioned one keyword, which was evolution. You mentioned that you've witnessed the evolution of BI, and that the evolution is what brings us to the vast plains of Africa. So imagine 3 million years ago, a landscape both breathtaking and unforgiving in its challenges. Imagine the world ruled by the raw power of nature, or the giants of the age, the lion, the elephant, the leopard, the rhino, and tenacious buffalo held the sway. These were the true masters of the domain, the iconic Big Five. And in the middle of the powerful theater of life, a new player emerged. Not as physically imposing as their counterparts, not as swift, not as armed with sharp teeth. That was the very Homo, a nascent genus of apes, so tentatively taking first steps in this very hostile environment. So survival was a daily struggle, every sunrise a gamble, because you had to fight against the mighty claws. But then something extraordinary happened. A spark of ingenuity, if you want, a clicker of understanding. A rock which might have been picked up perhaps casually was first used to open a tough shell, to scrape the meat from the bone. It was a simple act, yet it with profound implication. So for in this moment, the first stone tool was born, an extension of a hand, a multiplier of the strengths, a key that would unlock new possibilities. What I'm talking about is because we created ability to invent, to innovate, to learn and pass that knowledge from generation to generation. And it was the real game changer. So slowly, tentatively, the balance of power started shifting. And actually the original vulnerability of Homo started to change, and it's replaced by flourishing capacity of the world. So we started as a humankind very humbly, but we mastered the stone and laid the foundation for everything that was to follow. It was the first step on a long and remarkable journey, a journey that would ultimately lead us, Homo sapiens, humankind, into a new power of the mind and ensuring spirit of innovation in the time of adversity. So that all happened on those plains only 3 million years ago. And just moving from that very plains of Africa, let me take the journey to this dazzling Singapore, a nation which is on a small island. And here, if you compare to the 3 million years ago picture, we're wandering around the towering skyscrapers and lavish vertical gardens to witness the original legacy of that simple tool. So think back to those early ancestors in African plains, the ability to sharpen rock and to create and to implement sparklet and absolutely unprecedented trajectory of innovations. So generation after generation built upon the previous generation's knowledge. So Singapore is a dazzling testament to the relentless human ingenuity. Seamless integration of nature. We could see the trees coming out of the skyscrapers. But it's not just a coincidence. It is a result of intentional planning, bold engineering, and deep understanding of resources one needs to use to be successful. So Singapore stands now as a marvel of human urban engineering, because it actually covers everything we mentioned before: the capacity to survive, the capacity to strive, even in extremely harsh and challenging environments. It is the living monument to the very innovation I was speaking about previously. It is the amplified and refined, which has been over the centuries, a full reminder of what can be achieved if you innovate, if you're determined, and if you think how to collaborate. So small journey from a chipped stone to soaring skylines is a really interesting chapter in humankind development. But it wasn't just the simple stone tool. If you think about what we developed as a humankind over the centuries, the writing followed that allow us to keep and share the knowledge, enabling complex societies to thrive over the centuries. The irrigation system was then there, and it led to the supporting growth. Our nations could grow because you had crops one could harvest. And then there was a wheel that revolutionized transport. We didn't stop there. The steam engine ignited the Industrial Revolution, and then the electricity brought a light and communication. The next chapter was the combustion engine, which helped us to travel across the lands and across the sea. And then in 20th century, the computers sparked the revolution of information, and they provided big impact. And it's actually interesting that then we started traveling to outer space. Well, outside of obviously the space, which was limited by our understanding of the gravity. And then after we traveled to space, we created an internet, and that helped our society to transform further. Now, the biggest, we'll get there, Peter. And then it leads us to the main topic, which is the artificial intelligence. But I think what's extremely important here is for us to understand that in last 2 centuries, the speed of innovation was growing exponentially. So actually, in the last 2 centuries, humankind developed faster than in the previous 2,998 millenniums. And actually, if you look on that very shape of innovation, the exponential curve, it's very similar when you compare it to Moore's law. So the microchips, they're doubling in size, but the computing power grows exponentially. And actually, the same exponential curve you could see in how people and organizations understand and implement their way into the visual analytics. So from reporting a couple of, a decade ago, and some of you who are on the call today actually worked with me previously, implemented tools such as an Oracle. And then I think was the time of visual analytics where we at Tableau done an extremely good job on introducing new idea of self-service. Has it worked out? No, actually hasn't. There was a simple reason. The technology didn't develop well enough so people would see and understand data and absorb them in a natural way. That is the next gen of evolution, which has just happened. And that is the Gen AI. And the way how we would like to absorb the information is through conversations. The speed, which I've just demonstrated on a previous example, will only continue and accelerate. So we'll start getting into agents, AI, and ultimately, it's going to lead to autonomous organizations where not only agents are used to help us to understand and create, but they will help us to drive the outcomes. Now, why I'm making that point is because there is a dramatic shift in BI with the introduction of AI. And the shift is that the curve of adoption only used to stay in BI department, whereas now, Gen AI, the human interaction in their very natural language, help us to increase the curve of awareness. So over my tenure at Tableau, I used to work with more than 3,000 organizations. I could actually see that the level of adoption at best was around 25%, whereas the early adopters of AI-enabled analytics could enjoy as much as 60. So I might have sounded dramatic at the beginning, but it's quite true. The speed of innovation is inevitable, and it's going to impact our BI space as well. When talking about the organizations and their level of adoption of new tools, it's a challenging journey. And as you could see, actually, 85% of those organizations fail. There is an example of big farm company which created in their ambition to be self-serviced over 30,000 dashboards. And if you imagine the average price of dashboard could be from 200 to 500 euros, those dashboards were only looked at once. And that's where they ended. So that's tremendous fail in terms of the wasted investment and the low adoption. That's why we both, similarly to our friends at ThoughtSpot, believe that the complete intelligent platform would not only be BI, but combine the Gen AI capabilities with the correct data to get the best out of the BI space. Ollie, you might want to tell us a little bit about the Agentic Intelligence platform.
Yes, thank you for your introduction. So ThoughtSpot, maybe you heard about that, but maybe you think we are a startup because ThoughtSpot was not well known in the market space until maybe last year, because then we became a Magic Quadrant leader. So ThoughtSpot was founded 12 years ago by co-founders of Google, from Bing, from Yahoo. And they said, okay, we are searching the internet. We are searching for phrases in documents and so on. Why is it not possible? Or let's adopt actually this to company data. Because why do we gather data? Why do we build reports or dashboards? Because people have questions against the data. And they are not able to answer to ask these questions on their own. So they had to reach out to the BI department to build out reports, dashboards, and so on. So the idea was born. We started with search. So you have just one search bar where you type in tokens, right, based on your semantic model. And then ThoughtSpot generates an SQL, sends it out back to the data source, visualizes the results so the human and the department at the end user can understand it correctly. What we did actually is then we enhanced our token architecture, make it more human-like to have a conversation. And this is actually where autonomous agents come into play. You don't have to build up a dashboard before you can answer your question. Just go into the system. You will see that in a minute when we dive into the demo. But Spotter is your trusted AI agent, and this is where we are actually heading, and we are leading a market here. Maybe when you remember our title, which says dashboards are dead, now you see here AI augmented dashboards. So it's the same verb that we are using. Our dashboards are also called live boards, because compared to static dashboards, which actually is a dead end, because you only can answer questions that you have had in mind before you requested the dashboard, ThoughtSpot's live board are just the starting point. And our new addition to the whole platform is, because we came from the end user of a no-code analytics approach, now your data analyst can also write SQL, Python, R to actually make up the data for AI ready, so end users can ask their own question about that. You can connect data in our data hub by a real-time, zero copy, or in memory. You can choose. Also unified metadata by integrating, for example, data catalogs to bring more context for the AI, because the AI is dumb actually until it knows more of the context that you're asking. And ThoughtSpot is not only the platform to get your individual or your spontaneous question answered, but also is able to run statistical analysis based on your data and comes up actually why something has happened, what is the root cause. And it gives you proactively alerts, for example, based on thresholds or anomaly detection that you have set up. Everything that you see in ThoughtSpot, it is embeddable. So what we saw is actually the hurdles of bringing analytics to the end user is saying, hey, you are staying in the productivity tools like Salesforce or Gainsight, Workday or whatever, or Teams or Slack or something. But if you want to do analytics, you have to go somewhere else. But we bring actually ThoughtSpot into the embedded workflows where people stay all the time. And then the hurdles are even decreased or we are lowering the bar actually. So we are able to scale analytics to the brighter audience of your analytics workforce. What you see now here with the borders is actually that we are seeing now in the demo. So you can see that autonomous AI, how I can have a conversation with the AI on a trusted layer, how we are working actually with augmented dashboards, and also how can ThoughtSpot bring data from to the surface actually that you haven't had known before.
Thank you. And we actually talked about the fact that the wheel was one of the biggest innovations in the human history. And here we get a wheel of agentic intelligence platform. So that analogy is still holding. 24% versus 11. So let's start by the 24%. I mentioned that 85% of the BI projects fail. And we could see that 24% of organizations in the Western Europe and the US, which started AI adoption, they have been successful. So it's already the AI-driven insights and behavior and autonomous organizations are more successful in adoption than the historic BI. You could also see that the number 11 is where we are in terms of the adoption here in CEE, specifically in Czech Republic. So one of the reasons for today's webinar is to show you how you could be more successful. And we do have a great opportunity to catch up with the trend, which is already happening and shaping outside of the CEE. To make me confident in the fact that it's actually going to work and it's going to work for you is the logos of companies which are successful at driving their next level of humankind innovation through their organizations. And you could see that there are customers from every single vertical, from CPG, retail, healthcare, farm, insurance, banks, telco, tech, some of the biggest tech giants, and many others. So I'll come back to the original idea of innovation is inevitable. The speed of innovation is growing exponentially, and AI is the new thing. And that's why today I'll pass the mic to Oli, who's going to tell you how from the past steps of Africa through the thriving Singapore, the future of BI is going to look like. So thank you for allowing me to present you my intro. And Oli, over to you.
Thank you, Paul. I will share now my screen. Now you should see my screen. Shout at me if not, but I think cool, very good. So yeah, let me introduce you now to ThoughtSpot. As you can see, I'm in the browser. ThoughtSpot is a fully SaaS solution. We are hosting it for you. You don't have to deal with upgrades or operation maintenance or something like this. You are just using it. And before I would like, because I would like to use the entire space, I just go into my full screen mode here. So what you can see here now is actually that we get welcomed by ThoughtSpot, and very predominantly you can see Spotter here. And I'm in my situation now. I'm a revenue analyst at Netflix, and our goal is actually to monitor key revenue metrics in real time, to drill down into the why behind spikes or dips, so we can really go and find the root cause without involving the BI team to do for us. So before or instead of searching for the right dashboard, I'm able here to choose my agent I would like to talk with. It gives me some sampled question if I'm not really familiar with the agent I'm talking to. And as I said before, I'm searching for the right dashboard. I'm able just to start my first question because I want now to analyze the data. So you can already see that ThoughtSpot suggests me some of the previous question I did, and also some favorite question or the whole team was asking for. And now I'm able to ask any question I have. So let me introduce you to Spotter. So I would like now to see, actually show me the weekly, let's say, rev for the last 16 weeks. The ThoughtSpot interprets that question in natural language, and because we are using LLM here to extract actually what you're asking for, is that we are just using actually the LLM to extract the meaning, the tokens that on the architecture ThoughtSpot was built 12 years ago. So we don't move any data out of your system. We are just interpreting the meaning, seeing, hey, what the end user is asking for, and then the result set is now represented visually, so the end user will see what's going on in the last 16 weeks. Now you can see here that, for example, in December, and there are some spikes, or there is something going on, and since then we are going down. I would like actually to see what's going on in December. So once you see the visualization and a new question comes into your mind and say, well, actually, I would like to see it daily for December only. ThoughtSpot and Spotter is particularly keeps the context, and it now gives me only the daily revenue for December on a daily basis. The data is currently here. You see that's going on. That the date is actually in the wrong order, but nevertheless you see that ThoughtSpot is here interpreting what has been edited, what has been removed, and also what kind of filters has been removed. Now you can see some spikes here. I would like now to see what's going on in the background. In ThoughtSpot itself, we have the possibility to drill down into the system or into the data on your behalf. I would like, for example, to know what products has been sold on the daily basis. And now I can see that for the December 9th, by item type, I see still the daily revenue based for that day. And I see that, for example, here the jackets are quite heavily exposed. And the next question could be, because now I can see the data, in which stores or from which region or from customer age or whatever has been sold the most. Once again, I would like to drill down into the region. And now I can see that still in what context I'm in. I see it has been filtered to jackets by region, still the same date. But maybe now I would like actually to see what is the share percentage or the percentage share of jackets in these regions. So let me ask one more question. For example, show me the percentage share of jackets in all regions of all times. Once again, ThoughtSpot understands, interprets the question, and because it takes now the information here, we can see that the percentage of shares, of course, this is some sample data. That's why jackets is 100% shared across the whole region, but it generates actually the daily revenue divided by the total revenue and multiplies it by 100. So it gives me 100%. Okay, the jackets has been sold across all the regions, filtered by dates of December. This is now in a showcase how you can actually come from one question to another, to another, to another. But actually, I would like, for example, also to save the visualizations here. So the result that we had. Give me just one more information. I would like to maybe drill down by state once again. And before I'm saving this, let me ask one more question, something like, show me the top 15 products in West in Q4 2023. As you see, once again, Spotter understands the question, sees you really see what's going on here in the data, and now actually this is a nice visualization. Maybe I would like to tweak it a little bit. You're jumping out from the conversation, right? You are getting fast insights, but maybe I would like to now to tweak it a little bit. Now you are in the edit mode. On the left-hand side, you can see, for example, all the attributes that you see that you are working with. Maybe I would like to bring a new chart type into it. Let's say I would like to see it, for example, in a column chart, not in a bar chart. I also want to add some data labels, so make it more meaningful. But interestingly, the transparency that we have from the natural language into our tokens, right? So the interpretation, what the question should mean. We also have the possibility to jump into the query details for the more technical people and maybe want to know what's going on in the background. What is the query visualizer? So what kind of tables are involved into answering the question? And also, how does the SQL look like that we are generating and sending out to the data source? So you can see that in each and every level, you are dealing with the data, either from the LLM, from the Gen AI into the tokens, or from the tokens into our SQL. It's fully transparent that it's not a black box for you. And this actually gives trust for the end user that it's not as ChatGPT. You have a question, you get an answer, and you don't know where the data actually comes from. Maybe it hallucinizes. This is not the case in ThoughtSpot because we are dealing with facts, and that is why we need some trust in the data and also some lineage how the data is processed through the system. Now I'm happy, quite happy with that visualization. I would like now to save it, or I would like to pin it on a live board. Save it means the only that answer here is saved to ThoughtSpot as an individual object, or I would like to pin it to a live board. And this is, for example, like to do we have a tell? I'm currently on a system. I really don't. Let's create a new live board demo. Now, this is some kind of how you are able to pin these things, right? So imagine there are several other visualizations. Let me jump onto the system where I actually wanted to start and show you the live board. Sorry for the confusion, but it was planned a little bit different. So here we go. Some kind of prepared live board. That actually grabs the data initially from the data source. We're not storing it locally. And also, once we are scrolling down, you can see only then the visualizations are retrieved from the data source. That means we are reducing the load of the data source, and also it comes back in a quite faster manner compared to other dashboard tools, because you have to wait until all the queries are loaded and executed before the dashboard actually comes to end users. When you're working with live boards and you saw, hey, I'm asking questions, I can pin it to live boards. You can also create live boards initially and share it with other people that they are using as a starting point. The first one, what I do is when I'm here on the live board, we have AI highlights. AI highlights, when I click on it, it scans actually the live board and the KPIs that are used on the live board, and it gives me a summarization textually what has happened in the background, because maybe, for example, the revenue went down or went up here by 9%, or something is going on. So now I see here that the AI highlights interpret the change. Everything is going up. Hey, very good. Except if we are looking at costs, but we don't looking at costs here. All these changes are expected. That means based on the historical data, we are categorizing if it's expected, unexpected, or not categorized. And then the end user are able to watch, for example, hey, what's going on? What is the driver behind this? Revenue month to date, we see that the top contributor, for example, for this KPI is payment method or subscriber region, because maybe we have a marketing campaign running in a certain areas of Europe. Or, for example, once again, the plant name, because we are offering different packages to our customers, either or premium. So you can see that ThoughtSpot analyzes actually the data in the background for you, and it gives you ideas and suggestions where these root causes actually come from. If I would like to know a little bit more about the revenue month to date, I'm able to run a change analysis based on the KPI here from yesterday to today, because this is the period the KPI is covering. It analyzes now once again a little bit deeper. And you can see that, okay, the plant name, the standard was a significant change from yesterday to today, or based on the subscriber region. While some are really going up, we still have some losers here in the region, and it's a significant change. If I would like now to know more about United Kingdom, where the revenue, for example, come from, I can also analyze it automatically once again, just for filtering for United Kingdom. And we can also say that, for example, compared to overall, we have here a significant change in basic, right, and not in standard that we saw actually from the service from the high-level perspective. So this gives you, first of all, an idea what has happened in the background. All the visualizations and all the interactiveness that you saw actually from the conversational, you also have here in ThoughtSpot. So every single visualization you can use as a filter to filter others, or use as a drill down, right? Or you can start Spotter, so the conversation AI, once again from that visualization here. Hopefully it works here once again. Yeah, very good. So for example, I would like now to see, show me the revenue for Europe this quarter. So I can start from an existing object. I see something, and I have the possibility to ask right away the next question. And ThoughtSpot runs through the trust layer, understands the question, and then comes up with a result in a couple of seconds.
Well, before it
back to the system.
Before it comes through, what languages can we run the inquiries in?
In any language, actually. So I can also ask here, Spotter, in different languages because we are using the LLM not only to extract the meaning of the question, but also if you are familiar, for example, with German, I could also ask, zeige mir die Top 12 Produkte in 2023 or something. Because we are using the LLM also to translate the question. And it doesn't matter if it is in Czech or in German or in Dutch or in Chinese. So you can see that even in different languages, we can use Spotter here to have a conversation. And this is a short demo of ThoughtSpot. Sorry for the hiccups. And let me go back to the presentation mode.
And there is a question from Peter, whether we could show an example of forecasting.
Forecasting we do have. Currently, it's in early access. So that means I don't have that ready for demoing, but on our documentation, when we go here to forecasting, time for series forecasting, you can see we bring features every single month, right? There is a release coming up, and we also release early access features for beta customers who wants to deal and want to test also the early access. So currently it's not available on my system because I'm not part of the early access program, but you can see on our documentation, the time series forecasting will come. Currently it's in early access, and you can see how that works in our documentation.
So it's interesting you mentioned the releases are done on a monthly basis, and I've seen the amount of innovation coming in. Really exciting amount of innovation and time series forecasting up one of them. Great to see.
Yeah, correct. Is there another question in the chat because I cannot see it currently?
There was a question on the security of data, whether the data sets are being sent out of the corporate tenant.
Yeah. So because ThoughtSpot is not, we are just using the LLMs to extract the meaning, and we are matching it onto our tokens that are based on the semantic model. So there's no data actually that is moving out of the system or the connection between ThoughtSpot and your cloud data warehouse. There is, let me shortly search for a slide that I can show you how that works actually, because seeing is believing. And this is where we actually also stand up or stand out compared to others, that we are not passing over anything from your data onto the LLM that we are using, but it's here. There is it. So what happens in the background is that when I click here, then I'm on the, okay, wrong slide. Make it a little bit bigger. So once you're asking what are the best performing Nike products, for example, we are passing this question compared to metadata, right, from the semantic model to either Gemini, OpenAI, or very soon also Cortex from Snowflake. And then only the tokens get executed. If I'm asking for the best performing, well, the system understands, hey, you are asking for the top 10 products ranked by sales, brand Nike is or a brand should be filtered to Nike. Best performing is quite ambiguous, right? So this is very important to know that ThoughtSpot gives you the idea or the interpretation that the system has understood, so you can interpret the result set correctly. This is where we prevent hallucination, right? So if you wouldn't have that this level of transparency, then how could you actually trust the information that you get as an answer? And this is actually where we say Spotter is far ahead compared to others in the market space, bringing AI to BI, because you are asking a question, the interpretation is transparent, it's visible, and based on this, the result set is queries the data, or the SQL is then generated by us and not by the LLM, and the result set comes then back. The interesting thing is, though, if the system doesn't understand your industry-specific vocabulary or your company-specific abbreviation, you are able to use the Spotter code. We haven't seen this, but this is also in the product itself, where you can coach Spotter to understand your vocabulary, and it's kept within ThoughtSpot as a, let's say, glossary based on your specific vocabulary, and it's not used for the training for the external LM. We don't have any training. We don't let the LLM store any question that we are passing over. So it is the maximum security level that we actually provide in dealing with the data.
Okay, thank you. We got 1 minute left. There is a question from Pavel on how long it usually takes, and I know it's a tough question, to implement a ThoughtSpot, and what's the process? I think I can a little bit chip in on the process, saying it really depends based on what data you got and what use cases you have. But you work with a couple of largely complex and then smaller organizations. So what's your spin on the timeline of implementation?
Yeah, so as you already said, right, it depends on the use case. Is the data ready? If the data is already well prepared in your cloud data warehouse, then actually connecting the data, modeling the data in ThoughtSpot, it's very easy, and it doesn't take much time. It is how you can bring the mind shift to the end user, so they don't ask the data team to answer the question they have, but to bring them actually the data into the hand of the end user. So it's some kind of education and enablement process. And you cannot compare it with productivity tools like Workday or Salesforce. It is use case by use case. And we do have a process. We have a customer success management team within ThoughtSpot, but also our partners are able to help you to guide you to the process and to the future of BI helping with AI.
Okay, thank you. I guess we'll, for the sake of the time, I just want to be mindful of the time. This has been an amazing discussion, and I know there are more and more questions. So should you have a question, just do not hesitate. Pop the question to myself, or Oli will be also sending the follow-up after the webinar. So ready to answer the questions. I know I'm genuinely, after being in the industry for 10 years, I'm genuinely excited about ThoughtSpot and its value proposition. We had some issues in the webinar, but as I used that analogy of early man using the early tools, the Rome wasn't built in a day, and we preferred to show you the ThoughtSpot as early as possible, rather than having a extremely polished demo. So I'm extremely grateful for Oli that he accepted our invitation and show you the demo on the fly. As a follow-up, we'll be sending the recording once again. This is the technology of the future. As we said, the innovation grows exponentially, and the BI is the new AI. So believe that answers the question, why dashboards might be considered like that, because there is a better way how to work with your data, and that is the ThoughtSpot. So, ladies and gentlemen, massive thank you to all of you. Massive thank you to Ollie for joining the webinar today. There are going to be more series. Thank you very much, and I wish you a very pleasant evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.